Ladies and gentlemen, and the misfits who refuse to stay in their lanes, welcome to the World's Mayor Experience. I'm your host, Joshua T. Berglan. For the new listeners, let me give you the lay of the land. We do not do small talk here. We do real talk. We strip away the corporate veneer and the media spin to get to the marrow of the human experience. I stand here as a man who has battled dissociative identity disorder and who navigates the world on the autism spectrum. But today you're going to see something else. You're going to see me shaking. It's not just in my hands, it's in my neck, my head, and even my entire body. You might hear the struggle in my speech. These are not just tremors. This is my body reacting to a world in the way that most people can't imagine. I feel every frequency. Whether it's the electronic signals, human energy, or the raw power of Mother Nature herself, it surges through me like in a very supernatural way. It is painful, it is exhausting, and it's a daily battle just to speak into a microphone. But I refuse to hide it. These are not weaknesses. These are my credentials. Because when you have been broken by the system, and when you feel the weight of the world literally vibrating in your bones, you learn how to build something better. We talk a lot on the show about shadow prisons, the cages society puts us in. But I don't just talk about breaking out, I provide keys. If you're looking for answers, whether it's about mental health, media sovereignty, or spiritual warfare, I have curated thousands of free resources for you. The best way to find them is to use my custom search engine called The Archives, built right into my platform. Type in your struggle and let the library serve you. And for those of you who are done consuming and are ready to start creating, if you want to build a brand that is cancellation proof and a legacy that outlives you, I invite you to work with me. As the omnimedia architect, I help visionaries weaponize their story to serve the world. You can find all the details at joshuatberglan.com. But today we are traveling to the Northwest region of Cameroon. We are stepping into the presence of royalty, and not the fairy tale kind, but the warrior kind. We are speaking with a woman who is building a future out of the ashes of a 10-year crisis. My guest today carries the blood of the Bafut family. She carries the blood of the Bafut Royal Family. But she does not sit on a throne looking down. She is in the trenches looking up. She is the daughter of the Northwest region of Cameroon, a land that has seen conflict, displacement, and pain. Born out of a crisis that has cost 3,000 lives and displaced over 7,000 people, she decided that waiting to help wasn't an option. She had to become the help. She is the visionary CEO of Youths and the Future, a dynamic organization dedicated to empowering the young people who have been left behind by war and instability. She is currently spearheading the construction of the Royals Eco Village Bafut, a pioneering project that bridges the gap between the indigenous world and the modern world. She is creating a space where culture is preserved and sustainability is not just a buzzword, but a survival strategy. She is fighting for the internally displaced persons who have no home. She is fighting for the funding that the world often denies African innovators. She is fighting to prove that the solutions to Africa's problems are already inside Africa's people. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the Royal Architect of Hope, Princess Abumbi Prudence. Princess, welcome to the World's Mayor Experience. How are you?
Thank you, Joshua. Thank you once more for bringing me into the world of Joshua T. It's my pleasure. I'm fine. And you?
I'm blessed. It's good to see you again. We got to meet yesterday, and so we're familiar with each other now a little bit and even got through a few questions. But, you know, one of the things I think we're going to talk about in this interview is infrastructure and resources and so forth. But something that really plagues a lot of different African nations, especially in Cameroon, is connectivity, the internet. So I'm very, very, very blessed that we're getting an opportunity to do this again today because your message is very powerful. One, you're just an amazing presence to be around. I'm extremely honored to be able to interview you, but just to share time with you again, I feel very, very blessed. So I'm grateful to have you here.
The pleasure is all mine, and thank you for reconnecting us because I'm merely here to amplify the voice of my people and the voiceless. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, before we get into your questions, and you already know it's my favorite question of all the questions I ask. This is my favorite one because this sets the tone. What are you grateful for today and why?
I'm grateful, firstly, for the gift of eternal life. Waking up this morning, seeing a bright, beautiful like this is the first reason why I have to be grateful, because whatever is happening here today, the possibilities of today, it's because of my being alive and seeing this day, which gives me the hope to be able to connect with you. And secondly, I am grateful for being able to reconnect back with you this afternoon, because yesterday we had some network challenges due to some of the challenges that we face here in Africa, the struggles and everything, and yet finally we reconnected again. So I'm happy that it was all a success this morning to reconnect back with you. Thank you.
Amen, amen, amen. All right. So you were born of the Bafut Royal Family. In the West, we think of royalty as Disney movies and wealth. In Cameroon, amidst a crisis, what does it truly mean to be royal? Is it a privilege or is it a burden of responsibility?
Wow, what a powerful question. Being a royalty, it's a privilege and a responsibility. But firstly, I will start with the aspect of being a privilege. It is a privilege because not everyone belongs to an earthly royal family, because biblically we know God is a king. Being a prince or a princess or male or female, you belong to the family of royalty. But when we talk of being a privilege of being an earthly royal family, that means biologically born from a royal family, which not everyone is related to that aspect. Just some chosen people or some privileged people like me are born in that family. So I will start by saying it is a privilege. And in another aspect, it is also a responsibility, because royalty is just a noun, but there are things that we do to meet up that standard of royalty or to be able to defend that title, that royalty. When we talk about royalty, it already portrays a leadership image, because every royalty is a leader. Everyone who comes from a royal family is a leader, because we are born leaders, and definitely we have territories to lead, we have communities to lead, we have people to lead, which leading people and leadership as a whole is a responsibility. This responsibility also goes with accountability, whereby if you cannot be accountable, then you cannot see it as being a responsibility. You must be accountable for something before you can be responsible for it. For instance, I am accountable for the well-being of my Bafut community, for the success, for the collaboration, for community development as a royalty, because it's just a noun. As I rightly says, there are contributions and things that we do to qualify us as who we are as royalty. So I must say royalty emerges together with accountability, responsibility, and privilege. So I would say royalty, it's a privilege and a responsibility. Thank you.
You mentioned that your organization was born out of a 10-year intense crisis in Cameroon. 3,000 lives lost, 7,000 displaced. The world media often ignores this conflict. Can you paint a very vivid picture for us? What is the reality on the ground that CNN, Fox News, and other news agencies are not showing us?
Okay, assessing this area of conflict, the reality at times from what CNA presents on media is accurate, and the reality at times is inaccurate, in the sense that CNA and other media stations are only able to present the information that their correspondents on the ground can access and provide to them. Because I know most of these media stations has correspondents where they gather information, they share with them before they can present. So in this situation, there are actually some inaccessible indigenous communities where some of these media representatives or correspondents do not have the information about the happenings that takes place in such places. And in such places, CNA or other media stations will not be able to break it out. A good example is the day-to-day life. Maybe as I'm here, something may be happening in one of the communities now. And if a CNA correspondent is not there to cover it up, or the media to be able to expose it, those within that community may not have accessibility, such as internet, mobile phones, or the means to communicate, to channel this information to the correspondents to be able to break it out. And for this reason, we see that accurate information at times it's being break out on the media stations, and at times some of the information is not being break out because they are not aware, lack of awareness. And another example is like the day-to-day living. There are people that have been devastated by this crisis, and some of them are living in the bushes. I don't know if how many of these people or these correspondents have been able to interview some of these people, how they left their beautiful houses and the situation, how they migrated, or the life now that they live in the bushes. How does it look? First of all, it takes courage for you to leave your zone, going to the bush to search an internally displaced person to interview. So those are some of the limitations that may also be the reason why CNA or other medias are not breaking this information, because some of these internally displaced persons affected by this crisis are in remote areas where they cannot be accessed. So for that reason, some of this information has never been shared on the media or through other media platforms. Thank you.
Thank you. Living through a decade of instability can change a person. How did the crisis shape your leadership? Did it break you at first, or did it immediately embolden you?
Yeah, at first I was broken. I was broken by this crisis at first because I'm a human. Every human is sensitive emotionally, either negatively or positively. There are things that when they happen positively, I am emotionally moved. And there are things that when they happen negatively, I am also emotionally moved negatively. Seeing the devastating situation, it was a negative one. Talking of life lost is a negative situation. Talking of people being displaced from their beautiful environments and homes to an unplanned location, certain uncertainty, and schools suddenly disrupted, where we know the values of peace and a peaceful atmosphere. I was broken because everything happened drastically like a drama. It's not something that we were expecting. It wasn't a story that we wrote that we were going to tell, and it was something that broke out unaware. So for that reason, shock, surprise, and above all, what happened drastically, I was broken. My mood was broken mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. But nevertheless, being broken was never the solution, because from my father, King Abumbi II, I have always learned about a good leader. Who is that person who stands by his people, support his people in times of need? A good leader is not he or she who stands by the people when things are fine, but a good leader is that person who should be able to stand up, lead, coordinate, direct, influence in a positive way, bring resolutions on how to maintain peace even when there is no peace. So learning all these things from him, Even though being broken, I had every reason to evacuate from where I was. I had every reason to run for safety and never return. But I thought of this thing. And considering the fact that leadership in the Bafut community, we also see it as a rite of passage, where the elderly ones hand down leadership rights to the youth or the younger generation. My father is the king, he is the king. I am the youth now, and it is my right to stand up and start practicing this leadership through this conflict that came up. So reflecting on all this, it shaped my leadership skills, and I stood out boldly, even not knowing how I was going to start, even though doubting the steps that I was to take, even though not being sure of the approaches, even though asking questions of uncertainty. But I remembered this proverb, which often say a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step. I took a step and I confronted the situation, and to my greatest surprise, I saw that the results that I began having were wonderful, and it shaped my leadership skill gradually because I had challenges, I had difficulties, I had ups and downs, I had limitations, but all these things I had to learn how to convert them into strength, and I learned how to take every challenge as an opportunity. Through this, it has really shaped me to be where I am today in problem solving, communication, and other aspects. Thank you.
That's awesome. That was a masterclass in leadership. That was incredible. Your NGO is called Youths in the Future. In a conflict zone, young people are often the first to lose hope. They are recruited into violence or they flee. How do you convince a young person in a war zone that they actually have a future?
Yeah, actually, I must say it's a challenging situation, and this is where at times we need to exercise our leadership skills in situations that are challenging by providing solutions. In this type of situation, despite the happenings or the circumstances around, we paint pictures that there is a need for these youths to remain hopeful as long as they are alive. That in disregard of any circumstances, there is a need for you to continue trying, continue striving how to move ahead by not giving up, because we believe that we should only give up when you are dead. Life comes to an when you are dead, and that is the end of hope. So despite in the challenging situations, others have survived. We have seen other countries, other people's situations surviving from challenges. So we believe that also as humans who can also survive, and times changes everything. As times goes by, things were going to change, and we continue encouraging them, empowering them, being a support system to one another, using these proverbs such as I am because you are, together we are stronger, you are not alone. And sometimes our moral support, educational support, material support, humanitarian support, and others also have been able to continue keeping these youth hopeful. And again, we painted the brightest picture, being that a society, an African or a country without youth is a country with no hope. It's a country of no future, because the future of every country or nation lies in the hands of the youth. Therefore, even if we as youths are giving up now, that means the change that we are hoping for cannot take place, because the change is not coming from somewhere, it's within us. We are that change, and now we must resist by still staying hopeful despite the physical happenings to be able to achieve that change that we want. Thank you.
I've never been to Cameroon, so I'm not trying to put myself in this situation, but one way I want to compare it is my own version of hopelessness, whether it's from mental illness or addiction, any of those things. And those are hard enough things to overcome. So I can't imagine what it's like for the youth in Cameroon and other parts in the world that are often not really ever discussed, where there's famine and war. And I mean, there's children soldiers, there's child brides, there's a lot of situations like this that just are horrific. But the one thing I've learned in my own journey is one of the greatest ways for hope. Like, in fact, I think this is where hope comes from, is when we realize the purpose that God created us for. And then we get to live in that. In my passion, in my dream, because look, education's important, but education's evolving. It's changing. The things that we need to know are different. There's a different type of skill set that's required to thrive in the new world that we're in and the one we're heading into. But the exciting part to me is because of the technology available, and when places like Cameroon get the infrastructure, they're going to be able to utilize this technology in such a way that there's a lot of economic development tools built into media devices, meaning if you're media literate, you understand how to use the media tools that are accessible, you have a vehicle to create endless revenue streams simply by tapping into our own natural God-given gifts and our God-given talent. And then when you have a place like Cameroon where there's been war and famine, look, one of the most powerful tools to use is truthful, authentic stories. You're sharing a story from your perspective as the princess in Cameroon. And that story has a ton of power. Now imagine the youth that have survived the war and the famine or found a way out. Them coming and sharing their stories, them writing a book, them making documentaries, them teaching survival skills. All of these things have value, not just to the people of Cameroon, but people all over the world. So what to me is exciting is that knowing that there's a different way to do it. You don't have to commit crime. Like human trafficking, a lot of human trafficking victims, sex trafficking, a lot of the captives that escape, they go back to their captor because the devil is better than the one you don't know. But when you provide an opportunity, not a job, not a Walmart greeter, not waiting tables, but when you provide something that inspires them, that keeps them inspired, that feels purposeful, it makes the hell worth it. It makes the journey to rehabilitate your life worth it. It makes the struggle worth it because there's something inside of you that's different. And what that difference is that now, instead of fighting in wars, now you're living in God's purpose, the purpose you were created for, and that brings joy. That's where joy and suffering comes from. And I believe with all my heart, I believe this. I think Africa is such an important place because so many of the stories in Africa have been suppressed from the rest of the world. And I believe when the world starts to hear the true stories of what's really happening in Africa, I really think there's going to be a massive shift. I think Africa is going to play such a huge role in changing the world for the better, and it starts with the youth. So the work you're doing is remarkable because you're helping launch those youth. So I thank you for your work.
And thank you also, Joshua, to add it more into this. One of the things also that inspired me to create this organization was because growing as an African at times, I felt intimidated. I felt like we were not humans because of racism and the way we were treated. I felt like we were voiceless. I felt like we were nobody to the society because of the lack of good technology, good roads, good educational systems, and other facilities that limited us or limited the world from knowing who we are, understanding our identities as Africans. They had to term us the wrong words, such as Africa was a dark continent. Wrong terms were attributed to us. It's like we in Africa have nothing to say. And again, looking at the issue of racism, Also, sometimes an African person struggling to cross abroad or travel to Europe, at times the process is not very easy for reasons that we cannot explain. Some of these challenges at times, yeah, racism could be contributed, the policies of that country could be the reason for many other reasons. But looking at all these things surrounding us, I felt so inferior. I felt like I was never loved. And looking around me, there was really a lot. I just want to let the world know that we as Africans or African youths, we have the potentials. We have what it takes. We are talented. We hold some of the solutions that the world needs
Yes.
because the indigenous world has the knowledge that the world needs and the modern has the technology. If we cannot blend this knowledge together with technology, to make the world survive and rescue the world to be a better place, we cannot stand independently. The indigenous world has a gap to bridge in the life of the Western world, and the
Amen.
Western world has a gap to bridge in the life of the indigenous. When I saw all these things, and I felt bad because I knew the importance of how we needed to blend these things, but the gap were pending. I thought on how I could amplify voices. I thought of how I could showcase talents. That was why I had to come out with this vision where I envision the world where Africa has a voice and the youth have their ways to share their ideas and the market to sell their talents, because talents are gradually dying down. We know that talents are skills, are practical aspects that when we don't keep them active, they gradually die down. You lost them at times.
True.
There are wonderful talents in Africa. And if the world or many other viewers who are watching me today can step in to support these visions, I must tell you that we also are going to create a wonderful talent company where talents can be exposed. Sometimes I used to watch the Western World Talent Show where people come to exhibit their talents. If we have opportunity to organize such programs, we can also tell the world that we have these talents. And again, looking at the Western world, you see most Africans who live out of Africa to the Western world excelling, doing
Mhm.
great, making us to understand that it is just the lack of resources that are limiting us. We may not have good network systems like the way we struggled yesterday. If you were not determined for this message to be heard, maybe we should have given up. So some of the challenges are what we face as Africans, but with this, we need support.
Yeah.
We need support. And through this, I know that my leadership as a female leader, it may be very challenging because some of the African society does not yet believe in the female leadership. But I took this responsibility as a role model to make my African fellow women and other youths to know that we live in a gender equality world now, where men can do great things and women can do great things. So by leading also, I am trying to empower my youth also to rise up and join me in leadership, self-creativity, job creation, and many other things that they can to make our lives better.
That's so beautifully said. And there is so much talent in Africa. I'm very fortunate to work with another organization where I help manage the talent and help develop their talent to get their talent out to the rest of the world. It's one of my greatest joys because this is where you get to see God work in people like never before. I say this quite often, that the Creator created us to create, and we're in a creator's economy. What a beautiful gift that is. Like, we don't have to look for jobs. We can create it. We can create our revenue streams ourselves with our own creations, with our own imaginations, tapping into the tools that are available through all the different forms of media now. You don't need money to publish a book. You don't need money to create merchandise. You don't need money to monetize videos. Like, you can start the process with no money, and in helping people see that and develop that. Sure, it's easier when you have money. Absolutely. It's 100% easier. But having no money is not an excuse to not step in faith. I did it. I know what it's like. I know how it's done. This is why I teach. This is why I work with underserved communities, because I know how to do it with no money. I'm not saying this to self-promote. I'm saying this to say this. People of Africa, people of India, people of everywhere in the world that is looking to come to America thinking you need to come to America to make your dreams come true. That's not true. You can stay right where you're at. Listen, I'm all for, I want to be surrounded by as many different people as possible. So like, if you want to come to America, come to America. I don't care. I mean, that's wonderful. But one thing I've learned over the years of serving in Africa virtually and getting to meet with different people, different governments, different kids, all throughout Africa, people don't want to leave their home. They want to stay. And the realization that they can stay home where they're at and help build their communities is very exciting to people. And so, but there's too many people that think or believe they need to come to America to make their dreams come true. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. You can be right where you're at. In fact, I believe you can create a bigger impact by helping build your community, bring healing to your communities, and elevating the people around you. That's how you change the world for the better. That's how you make your life. That's how you set up a legacy for yourself that lasts generations, that no one can take from you. So even though I'm all for being around people from all different cultures, y'all don't have to leave home to make your dreams come true. It can happen right where you're at. That's anywhere in the world. That's anywhere in the world, not just Africa.
Yeah, right.
All right. So I'm curious about this. How do you provide training and development when the infrastructure around you is crumbling? How do you teach a child to dream when they're worried about their safety?
Yeah, actually, we have been having some workshops, training, and doing a lot of things. As you rightly said, we have gone this far not really because of resources, but because of the passion and the support system with the volunteer work. But the truth is, 80% of what we have has not yet been established because we need resources to back this up. So for that reason, we started with that. Most often, these things that you're mentioning, training, goes with organizing workshops and other things. Sometimes you need to get equipment for the training. You need to get tools that will facilitate the training. So for an effective training or a program to show up as such, we may need that support because we commonly have the local support system or trainings that we need here. But looking at the world of today, being an indigenous and modern world, we see that most of this training should go beyond indigenous trainings. We should emit the modern and the indigenous. And looking at this aspect, it limits us from carrying out most of this training, but we have so many programs. At the end of this interview, I will share with you a poster of training programs that we created to train and to empower people with, but at the end, we were not able to achieve it because of obstacles and other things. You saw things such as talents, vocational training, arts and craft, music, singing, dancing, self-creativity, talent exploration, and storytelling, cultural parades, and many others, because these are self-creations training that when people learn them and nurture these talents, they can employ themselves. They can create model companies. They can become entrepreneurs to others. And for a good example, if 10 or 5 people are trained, after that, they set up their own businesses. You see that those 10 or 5 people employing one person at a time will already be equivalent to 10 people, job opportunities created. And you see that through this, it is a fast way for people to create jobs. And through that, you see that development and a lot will take place. Yeah.
You were very honest that the greatest challenge really is securing funding. You are doing the work governments should be doing. Why is it so hard for African-led initiatives to get global funding they deserve? Where's the disconnect?
Due to my experiences, They disconnected at times from the previous experiences, but I would like to say in every situation there is an exception. There may be some Africans who must have been dishonest with things that they did or mismanaged some of these opportunities. That may be the reason why lack of trust is coming. And in another aspect, lack of self-belief. Some people who comes on the throne for change would rather believe that others did same. So let me copy the same lifestyle, a lifestyle of marginalization, which is wrong. Instead of coming as a leader, a change maker, to see that you can shape the marginalized communities that suffer the consequences of marginalization, you instead come in and you want to also continue the marginalization aspect from where others started. This is a wrong concept that it has been like a family pattern where this concept, we need to adjust it. We need to make people understand that two wrongs do not make a right. Where I go wrong, you as a person can do the right thing for me to learn or copy. But the mentality of Africans is a pattern of inherited ideology or idea where because this person, okay, a good example is there are countries in Africa that their presidents have ruled for over 15 years. Another president now who comes up instead of practicing a democratic system may also like to become a dictatorship where he also wants to rule for the next 15 years. Does it really sound right? No. When there are changes like that, the change of ideas, the change of leadership, what development needs is in the hands of the change that comes. Because if I am a president, I come and I'm able to introduce good technology system. After 2 or 3 years, when I'm going down, another president comes and introduce another system of talent and goes down. Another one comes and introduce system of employment. You see that Africa will have different ways of exploiting all these things. And some of these systems of leadership are not centralized. They are not decentralized. They are all centralized systems where control and leadership comes from one person on what to do. Instead of having a decentralized system where the various communities can struggle to see how they can create this opportunity. So with this type of mindset, it has manipulated a lot of people. And now people no longer believe in Africa. They no longer believe in their countries because some would say when I bring change and a new person comes, he may go back to the corrupt system. This aspect of two wrongs do not make a right is an ideology that most Africans need to adapt to. Because your brother is doing a wrong thing, you can stand up for the right thing. And don't forget that the truth has a higher volume. When you stand for truth, it must prevail no matter how long it takes. It is the truth. So if we can learn to stand by the truth, what we know that is right for us, that is where the start of that real change comes from. It is not what we say by words, but what we live. Because I talk today as a leader who is already doing something to support his people. I'm leading. I'm taking that action. Yeah.
Now you're looking for partners. If a major investor or philanthropist is listening right now, why is the Royals Eco Village a better investment than a tech startup in Silicon Valley?
Thank you. Also, this is another very pertinent question. The Bafut Royals Eco Village is very important because looking at most of these things that I have shared with you, they are mainly an idea for now. We need a center to make them to be more sustainable. When we talk of change, we think of implementing a sustainable change, a change that generations can benefit from, not a change that today it shows as change, but tomorrow it is no longer change. So we see the Royals Eco Village as a vision that will reunite the indigenous and modern world together. A center where community members can come for regenerative education. The Western world comes for regenerative education. We transform it into a world model ecological center where you come, you learn from me, you share your own ideas, I learn from you. Where we exchange knowledge, where creativity takes place, a center of healing, a center of purpose, a center of aligning to new things. I tried painting this picture. Imagine a situation where you leave your country with a group of 10 or 15 people and you decide to visit me in my country and I'm hosting you in the Eco Village. We have conferences, we have days scheduled for traditional dance, we have days where we do indigenous practices, we have days where we teach you how to cook traditional meals, we have days for permaculture, we have days. Before you leave my country within 1 week, you already be stocked with a lot. Positive memories. That connection will be deeper. It will be much more mutual. We must have demonstrated something. So the Eco Village is important because it's a center where it's going to empower community members, also serve as a coverage to some of these internally displaced people, a center where creativity can be carried out, a center where Africa in miniature can be demonstrated, a center where through what activities takes place in, self-employment can be given, talents can be nurtured, jobs can be created, a lot can be shared globally. We take it as a center where we amplify voices, where we continue to empower women, a center where we can show who Africans are. Because this African talent show that I was talking about, imagine if this Royals Eco Village was already constructed. There are weeks that are coming up, such as 11 February here in Cameroon, which is a Youth National Day. Those are areas that during that period, we can look for a group of young people. They come to such centers. They demonstrate their talents. They show their skills. We organize programs and a lot of things. But because we do not yet have, now we have such ideas. We even lack the support, the funding to arrange such. So how do we go about it? So the Royals Eco Village also will serve as a center of food security because we have a gardening that will be established there, a permaculture garden where we demonstrate the indigenous ways of cultivation, how to preserve food, how to cultivate food, how to food consumption, conscious food system alliance as a way. Methods. In the Western world, you eat using cutleries, but here it's different. How you wash your hands, you eat, connecting back to nature, licking your fingers, not using cutleries. Some of those cutleries are made out of equipment that may not be too safe for human health. There are ions, there are plastics. We know the damages of all these things that have gone through industrial processes. Yeah. We know the chemicals and the lot that has been attributed. Preserving food using natural leaves is safer. Plastic, everything now in the Western world is plastified. So this Eco Village will actually also be a center where we can empower the Western world using our indigenous knowledge for them to see certain things. Cancer is everywhere. Have you tried to ask yourself how early man who was in Africa lived for so long and never felt sick? You and I now, if we stay for 10, 15 minutes and we undress ourselves, very soon you will shiver, you will feel cold, your lungs will be sensitive, you fall sick. Have you asked yourself that question? Why? Because we have shifted from the original version of who we are. True. Our practices that kept us strong and healthy, and we are trying to adapt to things that may not be healthy for us. So this Eco Village have this type of vision of reconnecting back who we are to our roots. Everyone comes from a community, and no matter where you go, home is home.
Amen. One thing I want to ask you really quick, because the model that you're talking about for this center, I'm very familiar with. I mentioned in the beginning economic development. Well, no, I don't think I was talking to you. Never mind. I was talking to someone else. I'm sorry about that. I was thinking about an earlier conversation I had. What is your media strategy? And the reason I'm asking you this, and you don't have to go into all the details, but do you have a media strategy? And the reason I ask is because with investors, they're going to want to see a return. And if you have the appropriate media strategy, you can build the system that is empowering the people that are creating, the storytellers, the people that are bringing their stories. You can empower them, and you can turn this center into a media hub as well, meaning if you have the media infrastructure built into it, you will have endless revenue streams that not only provide for the center, where they don't even need to ask for donations because they're making money themselves, but also it's attractive to the investors because instead of it looking like an isolated center, a cultural center, now it's turned into a media enterprise where there's endless revenue streams, and it makes it more attractive for investors. Do you have a media monetization strategy built into the facility?
Yes, I have a strategy in
Good.
the sense that, like looking at what I do at Youth and the Future, at times we have periods where we say it's journalism period, where my team share their stories. Yes, we have periods, weeks. That's what I'm trying to share with you, that I have many of these ideas. I already have a lot of these plans, and all what I need is just the support, the partnership, the funding, the collaboration, how for us to grow. During that period, the team, they share, we can choose a particular topic on relationships, violence, a story that you will never forget, situations that brings provocative thoughts, and then we say share your stories. And sometimes you hear them sharing incredible stories. Incredible stories. So I already have these strategies. Some of these people who cannot express themselves, because we are dealing with two categories of persons, the literate and the illiterate. So when we go now with the categories of the illiterate who cannot express themselves, they express themselves more through talent, craft, vocational training. Most of them are talented. They can bring out something. That is, imagine here in Africa, our ancestors were not learned. They did not go to school, but they kept information. They hand down information. How was it handed? They could carve. They had things that they could carve, and then they keep, and they were experts that could look at the carving and interpret what the carving means, what it signifies. Those were ways of handing down information, because looking at our ancestors, they could not read or write. They did not have the means. How managed did we have all these ancestral histories that were handed over to us? Who kept them? Thousands years ago. Some of this craft work, artwork that they did is what experts now study to derive and bring out that information. That means the illiterate can be involved with more of handwork, creativity, what they can do, while the literate also involve themselves, so that both categories will feel the impact. Yeah.
Now, I'm known as the world's mayor, but it's a nickname. You're an actual princess. But I'm going to give you the power as the world's mayor to enact one global law to help internally displaced persons everywhere. What would that law be?
Pardon? I didn't get your question well. Can you pardon your question?
Okay. I'm going to feel even goofier asking it this time. All right. So I'm known as the world's mayor. It's an appointed title, but it's not official. You're an actual princess. You're the daughter of the king. But I'm going to give you the power to enact one global law to help internally displaced persons everywhere. What would that law be?
The law will be creating a space where we can have the freedom to express ourselves without limitations. Self-expression, because expressing yourself is healing. Sometimes you get satisfied when people listen to you. Sometimes you get satisfied, and a problem shared is a problem half solved. Self-expression holds 80% of the solution that we need in the world. Some of those that holds the solution that the world is suffering from, they have not yet expressed themselves for the people to know that this is the solution. So a society where a human rights speech is free, where humans can express themselves freely without fear being good or bad, but it's all an option to choose what they have said or not. Self-expression will be prioritized because as humans, we have every right to be outspoken. That will be my law.
I love it. I love it. There's a young person in a refugee camp or an IDP settlement listening to this on a shared phone. They feel forgotten. Princess, what do you say to them right now?
I want to say to refugees all over the world, people who are going through challenges, vulnerable people, there is one thing I want to let them know. Firstly, they are alive. There is hope. Dreams come to an end the day you are buried. No matter your situation, you have not been forgotten. There are people who are still out here, even if they cannot support you materially in prayers. We have you in mind. In our thoughts, we have you in mind, and we are not keeping quiet. We want to say, stay strong and maintain your peace. Make sure you carry out things that will keep you positively healthy and not negatively healthy, because some of this change that we are striving for because of you, the day that we strive for this change and we are coming to help you financially, materially, academically, and you're dead, this help will be meaningless. Keep good health, stay positive, take practices that gives you more of energy. I'm not alone, we are together, and together we are stronger. Never you forget you are because I am. I am because you are. We are a support system together. In disregard of your situation, I am because you are. In disregard of my situation, you are because I am. A world without human is vanity. I cannot imagine waking up in a room having thousands of dollars and there is no human to make it valuable. Money is only valuable when we have people. Material things has value when we have people. Our value is you and not these physical material things. So wherever you are listening to these words that I'm sharing, know that you are the first valuable thing in my life, in our lives, and not financial aspect. So keep yourself safe and know that you are loved, and money even can never replace you. Even the artificial intelligence robot that they are implementing now, they do not have blood flowing through their lungs. They have batteries to make you understand that you are special, you are unique, you are loved, you are not forgotten. There is no one like you.
I just want to give you a big old hug right now. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Princess, paint a picture for us. It's 10 years from now. The crisis is over. The Royals Eco Village is built. What does life look like in Bafut? What are the children doing?
Life will look like paradise here on earth. Why do I talk about paradise? The only person that made paradise not to be safe was Satan. And the day that he was casted out of heaven, heaven became a paradise, a place of peace, no worries, no troubles, where you can go to bed at peace and you think well with good inspirations. We will not be able to limit at that level when things happen that way, but we will continue to improve ourselves and grow, because as times changes, things changes. And also, a good example is now we are in the 21st centuries. We left the 20th centuries. We will see how we make enough research, bring mitigation strategies, and carry out research in sustainable way that in the next 10 or 15 years, what we are keeping should not remain the same, but should rather be more transformed. upgraded, adapted. I often say technology did not come to abolish indigenous knowledge. Technology only came to upgrade, to adapt modernity. But people are making that mistake by struggling to erase indigenous knowledge or abandoning it. Many people have misunderstood the role of technology in the 21st centuries, and that is not the vision we have for our eco village. Even in 100 years to come, we will continue to make people understand that we are who we are as Africans. Your roots are your foundation. Your culture is your identity. Hold on to this. You can add as many things as you want to, but never you abandon your origin as who you are. So these are some of the things that in years to come, we will not like them to be completely erased in such a way that anyone coming to Bafut will be able to have that legacy that people are using modern plates in eating, using cutleries, but Bafut people still wash their hands to eat their indigenous milk. What is so special about these people? If we cannot keep this legacy, then our ancestors have labored in vain, because these are legacies that our ancestors kept. They honored, they respected, they handed it down. And it is my right as a princess to continue preserving this legacy. It is my right as a princess to do what it takes. A legacy is a treasure when it comes to royalty. When you mishandle it, you mishandle generations. Things go wrong when the right legacies are mishandled. So for this reason, I want to make you understand that the Royals Bafut Eco Village vision will not be just like other visions that are up to make money, to become renowned, to be publicly known. No, we are on a mission. We have a vision of bringing back who we are, even in the 21st century. Why adapting with technology and upgrading with technology? I will always watch my hands. My traditional milk is known as achu. We watch our hands and eat, and we preserve it in leaves. In a traditional home in Bafut, if you enter and you serve achu that has not been wrapped in leaf before being served, people will look at you that you have done something with the achu. Maybe you have poisoned the food. You have added something. Why? Because the real culture, how we were raised, is before you call it a traditional milk, it is when it is properly wrapped through leaves. So when you don't wrap it and you present it, it's like it's something else. Because fufu corn is whitish. The achu is whitish. It could be fufu corn or something else, or pounded rice that you have served. Wow. What brings up that notion that it is our traditional milk is when it is wrapped with the leaves. So this is already a practice which is conscious. You will never go for any ceremony and you see our traditional milk wrapped with plastics. No. Leaves. No matter even if it is the dry season and leaves are difficult to find, they go extra miles. They will better go extra miles and make it very healthy rather than using plastics. We are not that. So, as a princess, I will make sure the eco village in 10 years to come, every right of a child is respected, because the children today will be the youths of tomorrow. I was once a, and if this heritage must be protected, people who should be empowered at the eco village should start from the level of children. I will get old, and the younger kids will grow up and take over that legacy. These are mindsets that I have. But today, at times, children education is neglected, and they say at the level of youth, no. Practice makes perfect. When you nurture that child with what he is supposed to know in the early age, it becomes difficult for that child to erase it. I am what I am today. Even if I travel Europe for the next 30 years and I will always be able to speak my dialect. Why? Because I was nurtured as a child. I was trained as a child to wash my hands and eat. I was trained as a child that when greeting elderly people, you don't sit down. I was trained as a child that when you meet an elderly one, you don't stretch forth your hands to greet. It's the elderly one that voluntarily stretch forth first. I was trained as a child that in a home where we give credit to men as the head of the family, when we prepare milk in the home, the father's food is served first as a sign of respect, as an acknowledgement. I will never settle and I get married and where I cook and I finish, I serve my children first. No, my father taught me all these things. So these are things that I will continue to keep, because in African culture, we know that men remove money to pay for women's bride price. So it is a way of acknowledging them that, yes, I acknowledge that you did something good. That is why in our homes, when we cook, whether it's a woman or a man that has provided the food, we make sure we serve the men first as our husbands. So these are some of the teachings, doctrines, and so many others. And above all, the Royals Eco Village vision is a vision that has come to stay. We want it to be a monument where people will come to see even the structure. I see people living from other places traveling to Egypt to see other great treasures, great monuments, the stones and many other treasurable areas, the stone where Allah was buried, and all one. It's because those type of.
No way. We made it a whole hour without the internet crap. There she goes.
Site. Yeah, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The palace is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And why was it termed a UNESCO World Heritage Site? Because the war was that they fought with my ancestors 1,000 years ago. Some of them took place where my father is. And those treasures today, people are coming to see the structure of the beautiful buildings that they say we fought the wars with the Germans. The Germans destroyed the palace and rather came back after to rebuild it. People live all over to see such. Those are great treasures, great histories. So I will learn how to maintain and treasure the Royals Bafut Eco Village. And my father, the king, has promised me, once this structure is up, we are going to partnership with the Bafut Royal Palace, and we see how we can make Bafut and Cameroon and Africa as a whole great again through our partnership.
Excellent. Excellent. Princess, I've really enjoyed this conversation and getting to hear your heart, your vision. I align with your vision. I can't tell you enough, as somebody who teaches about the future world we're going into, what you're talking about, the information, it's all practical, it's sensible, it makes sense. And honestly, the model that you have there could be duplicated anywhere in the world, whether it's a war-torn area, a famine area, an area full of famine. Like, honestly, that what you're talking about would work in the biggest city in the world, the biggest, most prosperous city, it would work. So you're on point. And I want to encourage anyone out there with the financial resources that wants to partner, do this, because it's real. It's an absolutely beautiful plan. And on top of that, it's something that can impact the world in a positive way, but also, to me, it's a good investment. It's a very sound investment. Again, if anyone pays attention to the future economy that we're heading into, what the princess is tapping into is very legitimate. That's how it's going to work. So I love this. Princess, I would love to give you the opportunity to have the final word. You can share where people can find you, where they can support you, your website, social media. And if there's anything that's on your heart that you want to say left that you haven't said so far, share it. The floor is yours.
The first thing that I want to say goes to you, Joshua. Credit should be given to he whom credit belongs to first. You are the bridge that God has used for the world to hear this vision that I have shared again today. And for that reason, I want to say you are not in my heart, but you are in the heart of the entire Bafut people. The heart of the voices that I'm amplifying. In the heart of the vision that we are envisioning. And in the heart of those that are trusting and looking up to me, believing that I could be a solution to their problems. It's not about me. When one soul is safe, a generation is safe. I'm a woman. Out of a single woman, generations of the world was made. And I believe today I may be leading as a woman. And from my vision also, more positive generations will come out. Through this opportunity today, I say thank you, Joshua. Motherland Bafut will never forget this day, 3rd February 2026. And to the world at large, I speak here today on the behalf of the voiceless, internally displaced people, children of Africa, the Bafut community, the youths, and for the change makers who are striving for hope, hoping for a better future, journeying towards a future of uncertainty, but yet with hope, with courage, hoping and never giving up. Resilience has been our practice. Love has been our habit. And trust has been what words cannot express. Today, I'm calling upon viewers, whosoever is listening to me. We need your support. We need your love. We need your partnership. We need your collaboration. If I lift up my hands like this, after 5 minutes, these hands may get tired. But if I bring them together, once this one is tired, this one is supporting it, it can last longer. In a world of me alone, I cannot last longer. But in a world where we come together, we can make it together. Many hands do lighter work. This Royals Eco Village vision, it's a burden to us now because we have not yet gotten the collaborators, the funders, the support system. But the passion remains strong. Unraveling this vision today, I believe you who is listening to me, who wants to see African lives touched, who wants to see nation transformed.
Oh no. Come on, internet. Work for her. Work for her. Work for her. Please turn back on. Oh no. Oh no. We made it. Over an hour. We did so well. Gosh. I don't know what will happen when Africa actually gets great internet everywhere. I think it's going to be so amazing. There's so many amazing stories from Africa. And like this, oh my gosh. Not only did it mean a lot what she said, but I mean, she got to the heart of why I do this. Amplifying voices like hers, helping spread her message. That's what helps me be excited. I mean, that's what gets me out of bed every morning. I'm so grateful for the princess. I don't know if she's going to the internet's going to kick back in or not, but thank you all for listening. I normally, she gets the last word, but she cut off, and because of her screen being frozen, I don't want it to be stuck on this screen. So I'm going to keep talking. Oh, have mercy. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Please share this with friends, share this with anyone, because this mission is sound. The work she's doing is so important. I mean, I'm not trying to self-promote here, but I've been doing this work for a very long time. And I've seen firsthand the impact that this type of work can do. But even the business model that she's discussing, this is tapping into the future of how business will run. And it's empowering. It's breaking out of the slave system. It's breaking out of removing all the gatekeepers. There's a massive opportunity here. And I mean, as an investor, I literally have my own business plan for a very similar model. I believe in artificing governance, which is simply about empowering the creators. The creators should lead the world. The artists of this world, I mean, they're the forerunners, they're the visionaries. And she's a true visionary. I mean, what she's talking about is sound. You can go into all of the different books about the future financial systems. You can get into the storytelling economy, the creators economy. Like this, that is the future. In a world where AI is going to take so many jobs, the only thing available is what we create, and when media, that's endless revenue streams, especially when we tap into our truthful stories. So there's just a lot of content with our truth. And wow, I'm so happy that we got to redo this yesterday. The internet crapped out, so we had to start over, and I'm grateful. This is why I get on camera and let my head shake like crazy, because even though it hurts, hearing stories like this is what keeps me going. Anyway, God bless you all. Thank you for watching.